Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to Sky Tour Livestream. It is a beautiful 17th of January, if not frigid, out here in Connecticut. But out in the desert, it's a balmy 60 degrees Fahrenheit. We're doing great. And I wanted to welcome you all to this beautiful stream. We have a full moon, which became full today. And we're going to try it anyway. It should be fun. And I also want to welcome Daryl Mason. Hey there, Daryl. How are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm good. You? I tried to stop him,
folks,
but
fine.
He wouldn't listen to me.
He did. He said, it's a full moon. You sure that's a good idea? Kind of, sort of. He didn't say those exact words. But yeah, no, you know what? It's going to be fun anyway, because we can look at interesting clusters. We can try looking at nebulae and actually see what the moonlight does with our filter systems. I mean, it's really an interesting thing. Like right now up there on the screen, okay, that's the Pleiades that you see. And it's really kind of neat, you know. Even with a full moon, and this is a 12-second exposure. For the heck of it, let me try a 20-second exposure. Now I'll go 24-second exposure. Here we go. I want to say hi to Genghis and PG, and Dalai is here. Hey there, Dalai. Rock is here. Headband Harvest. Genghis is here. Genghis, I gave you a wrench. You had it before, but I think for lack of use, YouTube takes it away. What could I say? I don't know. That's how it works. I don't know why it does that. I want to also say hello to Anahata77. Hi, Bonnie. How are you? And I want to say hello to Vera Lucia Campos from Brazil. Fantasy Ecstasy's here. How you doing, man? And Daisy and Zoe Amethyst are here as well. It's so nice to see you. And I will check in with a lot of you during the course of the stream as well. Donald Kunzer, how are you? And Lori Arbonat, how are you? It's so nice to see you as well. And Zadarak, evening to you. So this is the Pleiades that you see right here, and this was a 24-second exposure, and normally we would see some pretty good nebula around it, but it's almost like we have a light-polluted sky tonight, and the light pollution that we see is coming from none other than Luna, our moon. It's as bright as it can possibly be. Well, not quite as bright as it could possibly be, but you get the picture, you know. So, we're going to try and look for a few other things, namely Messier 78, Daryl, which is what you recommended several times, actually. I think that'll be fun. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go to a 40-second exposure on this. It'll be bright, but we'll work on it, see what happens. In fact, let's do a live stack on that. Yeah. So, Daryl, how's it going out there? What's the weather like? Are you on mute? Oh, yes, Daryl is on mute.
Sorry. It's been nice here. It was 60 or so today. That big storm that hit the east, it kind of glanced off of us. It got really cold for one night and barely snowed any, and then the sun came back the next day, as it tends to do here. It's been pretty nice. I guess we got more cold weather coming in a day or two, though. Yeah, it is winter, you know.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound fun.
Doesn't
sound fun. Yeah.
I know you've
been...
Well,
here you can see. Yeah.
I guess champing at the bits to stream. You've had some really persistent clouds down in Arizona.
I know. And we do get, like I said, about 300 clear nights a year there. But it does occur from time to time that we will get weather like this. Here you can see the blue sky glow that's being imparted by the moon. Even though we have special filters to mitigate the sky glow, the moon is just so bright. It's almost like taking a picture in daylight. And The moon's actually not all that far from the Pleiades, so this is kind of an interesting test. You can still see some of the clouds down here. And the colors are off a little bit, but I can do a color adjustment right by doing this. And
yeah,
that's
the moon is
color adjustment.
The moon is over, I don't know if you'd say Eastern Gemini or like right on the border between Gemini and Cancer tonight. Full moon.
Yeah.
Big and bright.
Yeah, and the Pleiades. Huh?
Big and bright.
Yep. And the Pleiades is near enough. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's pretty cool.
Marianne's here.
Now, Marianne Robb, how you doing? I was just talking to Marianne earlier, saying hi to her. Yeah.
Oh, Marianne.
Yeah. So, as you can see, Marianne, we decided to go ahead and stream. It's a lot of fun. I want to say hi to Laura as well. Welcome, Laura. I know that, Laura Newbert is someone that I know as well. She's someone that came to the Devil's Tower UFO Rendezvous a couple years in a row. And I met her there. She's a really, really nice lady. A lot of talents. So hopefully we'll be able to avail ourselves of her talents with SkyTour Livestream. Here's an interesting thing. Even though the moon is out, what's funny is, just like in an area like this where I am now in Connecticut, where we have some more sky glow, check this out. You can see right here, this blue ring. This is not a halo. This is actually a nebula, right? And that nebula is very pronounced. When the sky is really dark and we take a picture here, this whole area is filled with this amazing blue clouds, and you almost can't see it, you know. Jennifer Miko, hello. Jenny's here. So nice to see you. So you can see this brushed look right here, this brushed dust. This is not an artifact on the sensor. This is actually what it looks like right there. It's a neat thing. These Pleiades stars, these are actually moving through space, and they're not associated with the blue nebula that is full, which is actually the dust that they're illuminating. They're not associated with it. They just happen to be moving through it. They're a young cluster, just a few million years old, actually. So this cluster, these are B stars, and O stars are the brightest and bluest. B stars are next. They're very hot, and they're also very blue. And so these stars were born in a cluster. They're very, very hot. They give off a lot of their radiation in the ultraviolet end of the spectrum, up at the far end of the blue. Not like O stars, which are even hotter and give off even more of their radiation in the blue, the ultraviolet, I mean. So, but every one of the stars in here is likely destined to be a supernova eventually. Hello, Cindy Murphy and Weird Guy. So there's a lot of cool things that we see here in the sky, and we're going to just have some fun looking at them. If anybody has suggestions or questions, let loose. Feel free. And for those that would like to see more about what this is about, I'm down in the corner here, up right there. You see the telescope up in the building out in the desert, 2,500 miles from here. This is the telescope control system. This, of course, is the main photographic view. This is a live image. It's building, actually. We've got multiple images that are being taken. Every 45 seconds, we're taking a photo. And then this panel that slides out here, this right here is the camera control section over here. So it's a 40-second exposure, my mistake. So this is kind of cool. And that is what we have and what we use. I'm going to take us out of here right now, because let's go back down to just a 1 second exposure. Trying to show you what it looks like for just a 1 second exposure. Okay, see all those stars. In a 1 second exposure, it looks more like it looks to your eye when you look up in the sky, which is kind of cool. Now we can adjust that a little. We can actually add just a little bit of image processing on the fly here and sort of increase our brightness a little bit. So now it's like you see it in a pair of binoculars under a reasonable sky, maybe a Bortle 5 sky. Bortle is the brightness level, goes from 1 to 9, 9 being downtown city, and 1 being absolutely no light pollution, which is actually rare because sky glow counts as light pollution. What's sky glow? The atoms in the atmosphere actually absorb energy during the day, and at night they radiate it back out. So you can see a soft green glow in the sky, it's a yellowish glow. That's a sodium layer. You have oxygen and nitrogen atoms, which also give off a glow of their own, and that's sky glow, and you can see reds and greens. Yeah, so those are natural light pollution, just like the zodiacal light, which is that leftover dust from the formation of the solar system, and that also shows up, and it's really kind of troublesome. But that's why our telescopes are in space a lot of the time, including the James Webb Space Telescope. Hey, Jessica S., welcome. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming along. Dalai says, what are those stars that go in a line lower center? He's talking about these, I suspect. These are stars that are part of the Pleiades cluster, and the line could be just a matter of line of sight illusion. We see that an awful lot. Daryl actually is very good at picking out lines of stars in clusters. And Daryl, you've never mentioned this line.
Even when they're not really there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But see, there's a line right here, Daryl. You never mentioned it. See that? That.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll actually make our way to a few other things. The first thing I'll do is I do have to do a quick calibration setup item here, which I did not do yet. I'm going to set a guiding rate for the east-west motion, which is what I did. We call that right ascension. And then I have to set the guiding rate for the up and down direction, and we call that declination. And that's gonna be a lot smaller. There we go. All right, now we get out of it. So this is your Pleiades, the seven sisters, or Subaru, which means unity, and is on the car, and is also the symbol for that car maker, and relates to the seven sisters.
And the seven sisters are the daughters of Atlas, the guy who had the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Interesting. Isn't this Atlas?
He's one of them. I forget which one. I never can keep the Pleiades straight.
This is Alcyone. This is Merope. Solano. Maya. And I forget, Electra? One of these is Electra. I don't know. Yes. Hey, Donald. Yes, everything is ready. I'm all calibrated. We're all set. And we are underway with a full moon. So this is going to be kind of interesting to put the system up against the full moon to see just how it comes out. I mean, we've done this before. I wonder, let's go see Let's look at Aldebaran. Oh, why is Aldebaran called Perihelion?
Excuse me? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Perihelion. Never heard that.
Yeah, Perihelion. Huh?
I never heard that before.
Ah, yeah. Well, welcome to Stellarium, right? Stellarium does that to us. Let's see if we can go... What's that?
I'm going to have to look that one up.
Okay. Let's go to Aldebaran in the Hyades. Our view will not afford us the view of the Hyades entirely, but let's just check it out. It's probably going to go to Aldebaran as a main star. If you look down here, you see high precision slewing, and we're going to see what star it picks to go to the star we selected, and it's going to go to Theta 2 Ta, Theta 2 Tauri. That's actually... that right there could be Aldebaran, though. Let's just go look. Yeah. It's Aldebaran. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Roni Hassan, how you doing? You know, the other thing we're doing, actually, if you notice, the stars are real pinpoints tonight. I have a focusing system that I installed that has the capability of doing automatic focusing. So I have this doing automatic focusing, and I spent time writing up all kinds of coefficients and stuff for different temperatures. And basically, if you get enough of that data, okay, the focus is this at this temperature, the focus is this at this temperature. Well, I got a whole list of those. And you basically turn all those numbers into what's called a coefficient, and you install it in the system, and it will automatically focus the telescope based on temperature, because the focus changes as the temperature inside the building changes. Professional telescopes always adjust their focus based on that, but they also have true autofocusing systems that will minimize the star size. And this one can do it too, but I'm only doing the temperature version at the moment. And that's just been all we needed so far. It's really great. Let's see. Oh yes, Marianne Robb, let's not forget. Marianne Robb, who's here, she is one of the hosts of the iDetective show. And she's with Chris DiPerno and Randy Savage, I believe. And she is, of course, a police officer, former police officer. She has recently retired. And she's also one of the principal movers and shakers with Sky Tour Livestream. So she is great. And she's thanking people for their support of what she does. That's wonderful.
I'm guilting out here. I haven't been there in a while. I'll come see you, Marianne.
You hear that, Marianne? You better hold him to it. He should probably arrest you. You know.
As long as she uses cuffs on me, that's okay. Just no taser.
Whoa. No,
taser,
yeah, that's
please.
reserved for me. A taser's reserved for me, I guess. Okay, so this is Aldebaran. It's a beautiful star in Taurus. It's actually the Eye of the Bull, right?
It is. When you see the Hyades star cluster there, it makes the V shape in the sky. You can see it naked eye. Aldebaran is at the tips of one of the legs of the V, and it makes the Eye of the Bull. And if you follow the legs of the V out at the ends of those are the tips of the horns of the bull, and you can see that there. I was reading that Aldebaran is cooler than the sun, but it's a red giant, supergiant star, or red giant.
Oh yeah.
44 times the diameter of the sun.
Yeah, it's big and.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And
Aldebaran is actually somewhat close to us. It's only just over like 65 light years or something, and the Pleiades are different distances.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Pleiades are about 170 light years away, and Aldebaran is actually a foreground object at about 70 light years away.
Right. And whenever you have a star that's a red supergiant like Aldebaran here, what is also true is that the stars are much, much bigger. And that's because as a supergiant, they are very, very large. They've expanded to such large size because of the fact that they've run out of hydrogen in their cores. Because every star starts life transforming hydrogen into helium, the fusion process. But these big stars will run out of hydrogen very quickly in the core. Now, the whole star is made of hydrogen on the outside, but that's not all fusing into helium. Only the stuff in the very core is doing that. The stuff on the outside is not. That's just too hot to be atoms, and it's atomic nuclei, mostly hydrogen nuclei. Protons, a single proton, okay? But they can be changed and altered. They can capture neutrons and so forth. But these supergiants, when they grow to such sizes, as they grow larger and larger and larger, the outer surface gets farther and farther away from that extremely hot core that's burning way hotter than 13 million Kelvin, which is the temperature, all right? And so it cools off, and the star goes from, say, being bright white or blue to more red, because temperatures that are hot are blue, temperatures that are cool are red. So as the star expands, it changes color. And that's sort of a key factor in understanding stellar evolution, is how stars change. And it can be a little confusing as to how we classify stars, okay? Like the spectral type of Aldebaran, all right, it's a reddish orange star. So by our understanding, all right, the spectral type of that will be past our spectral type down toward the red stars. It goes O, B, A, F, G, K, M, okay? And so Aldebaran's a K5, and it's a giant star. And so as a K5, it's going to be redder than the sun, and it clearly is. And so it being a supergiant star or a giant star, okay, means that it's actually a lot bigger in diameter, but not as hot as our sun, because, as we said, the more it expands, the cooler it gets. And some of the biggest stars in the universe have the coolest surface temperatures because of this process. So not all stars are very, very hot, and the biggest stars don't necessarily have to be hot. Okay, they can be a lot cooler than our sun.
Genghis asks, would we still have blue skies if we had a red sun/star?
Well, what happens to make... Go ahead, Darryl, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, I'm done.
Oh, okay. That's a very good question, Genghis. If we had a red star, it depends how much blue light that star gives off. Every star in the sky, all right, will give off some amount of the spectrum that's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. A star like Betelgeuse, much of that energy is out in the red area, maybe a little into the green, but not a whole lot of blue. All right. So what happens when we get, let's take that as an example. So what happens with our sky? With our sky, and the sunlight hitting the sky, when the sunlight reaches the atoms in our atmosphere, and they're atoms, right? Nitrogen atoms, oxygen atoms, and sodium and so on. Okay, the atoms will absorb the sunlight. Okay, and they're very efficient at scattering or sending back out in every direction the higher frequency light. It's actually a facet that the universe has created. All right. And it's why the nebula around the Pleiades is blue. It's why we see blue nebulae along with red nebulae, like in the Orion Nebula. Okay. It's because the higher frequencies or the blue light is being scattered. If the star doesn't have a whole lot of blue light, then there's not a whole lot of high frequencies to scatter. So, what color would our sky be if we were around Betelgeuse? That's the question that would answer your question. And the answer is that we don't have the blue light to scatter. So our sky might be somewhat of a neutral color. So whereas the blue sky emission blocks us from seeing the stars during the day, we might actually be able to see brighter stars during the day if we were around Betelgeuse. But Betelgeuse, remember, is very large. So if we were at the distance of Earth, we'd be inside Betelgeuse. So we would have to be much, much further away. But if we did, let's say we were far out by like Pluto, you know, compared to Betelgeuse, and let's say we could survive, the sky might be sort of a neutral color, and we might see the brighter stars in the sky. It depends on the thickness of our atmosphere. Okay, so if a star does give off blue light like our sun, then we would see that scattering of the higher frequencies, and it would look blue, you know. So it matters greatly what the star's primary wavelengths are that it gives off. And we can figure that out kind of in a rough way by using a astronomical technique that involves a facet called Wien's law, W-I-E-N-S, Wien's law. That gives you the maximum frequency emitted by a star of a certain temperature. And we use Wien's law a lot, but it gives you a placeholder. It doesn't give you the exact value, because not everything follows the exact nature. It depends on, you know, what the star is doing. There's a lot involved with what maximum frequency is given off by a star. But hey, it's still very interesting. That's a great question.
I could jump in.
Please do.
We would not be inside Aldebaran. Aldebaran is 44 times the sun's diameter. The sun is a little less than 1 million miles across, 850 or 880,000 miles, if I remember correctly. And so if Aldebaran is 44 times the sun's size, what we would see would be a big red ball in the sky about let's see. If the sun is half a degree, we would see maybe 20, 25 degrees size across. So it would be a great big red ball in the sky, but we would be outside it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was using Betelgeuse as an example because that we would certainly be inside of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about Betelgeuse as an example of the star. We'd have to be that's why I said out by like Pluto.
Okay.
We'd have to be out like around Pluto to actually, you know, see it at a reasonable size that we could, you know, might actually see stars, brighter stars in the sky.
Oh, never mind.
But that's cool. No. That's actually a very good point, though.
Well, it'd be cool to look up the sky and see a big red ball 20 or 30 degrees across.
As long as you're visiting and don't live there.
Yeah.
I'd hate to wake up tomorrow morning and see that in the sky. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, before you ask out there, guys, the thing that's interesting is that for a star to go into its red giant phase, which is what this is, it has to make there's an evolutionary track that they follow. And I won't get into the whole evolutionary tracks, okay? Because you've got an asymptotic giant branch you've got to worry about. Don't even worry about that. The thing is, it takes thousands of years for a star to get into a red giant phase. And it stays there for a few thousands of years, and then it starts to change. depending on what's fusing in its core. It's actually a very complicated process. When I was getting my astronomy degree, my final exam, if you can believe it, is I had to build a star on the computer. It had to be something that would function from the very inside properly, all the way through the many layers, all the way to the outside. And my star had achieved what we call hydrostatic equilibrium, where the force of the radiation pushing out was equaled by the force of gravity trying to crush it. So the star was holding its own. And so if you had a hydrostatic equilibrium star, that was like a good grade. I got a good grade on that. I really enjoyed that. That was fun building that star. But man, you learn so much about what goes on in a star. Because all you hear about from us when Daryl and I talk is the cores of the stars, the core of the star, right? The core of the star's where fusion is going on. But what's going on outside that? What's going on outside that is there's a radiative region where this radiation is going outward, but then there's a convective region, like a boiling pot of water. When we look at the sun, guess what we see when we look at the photosphere? We see these little tiny they look like little rings all over the sun, but they're kind of oddly shaped. They're not round, they're kind of oddly shaped. They're called granules. You got it. And those are the convective cells. Those are the rising, and the middle part is rising, and the dark rings are the cooler materials sinking back down. So on the surface of the sun, anything that's cooler than the rest of the sun looks black because it's not really that much cooler. The difference in temperature might be a few hundred to maybe 1,000 degrees, okay? But it's not that big a difference, but it's more than enough for it to look very different when compared to the brighter stuff. And Daryl, I heard you say granules before.
Okay.
So you're correct about that.
Now, when you look at the sun and you see the granulation on the surface, I've heard it said those granules you'll see they're smaller than the Earth. They may be the size of Texas or France, the country, about that size. And if you watch them over time, they tend to come and go. They'll bubble up and then they'll drop down again.
Yeah, they change dramatically, but they don't change all at once. Because the sun is 865,000 miles across, when you see these prominences, these large swaths of plasma, okay, which are coming off the sun and arcing off the sun, it looks like it's just moving so fast when you see it in videos online. But the fact is, you can stare at that same prominence for hours and see only minor movement. It's moving fast, but because the sun's so big, it doesn't appear to be moving at all to your eye. If you look at a prominence every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, you will notice subtle changes if you got a good telescope, a good solar telescope. So that's pretty cool. I was using a large solar telescope at one place that I worked. The solar telescope had to be 10 feet long, and it was a special hydrogen alpha system. So it had a reservoir of gas inside, and it was an indoor telescope, and it had a mirror outside the building that would follow the sun. So you could always see through the eyepiece. It was one fixed location to look in this telescope, which is great. And this was a beautiful telescope. And you could adjust which frequency, and you could slide through the different frequencies to see the prominences very bright or not at all, or see the granules on the surface. So really an interesting, a very, very interesting feature, you know?
I knew a guy in the astronomy club here a long time ago. He was really good at building gizmos, and he built sort of a solar telescope that I forget what it was called now, and it had a spinning mirror in it. But he could tune the image, to the wavelength, like you were saying, like hydrogen alpha or whatever, and he could pick up prominences and different solar features. It was a real kludge. It was a real kludge-looking thing, but he was good at it, and it was really a neat instrument he built. The only time I have ever seen prominences, true life, to my own eye was during the solar eclipse back in August of 2017. When the moon was covered, there were 2 or 3 prominences around the edge of the moon. Little pink things sticking up. But hey, I got to see them.
Yeah, well, prominences in general are easy to see when they're out there, as long as you have a hydrogen alpha telescope. Yeah. And that's something that, not everybody has. These telescopes have special lenses that do not allow certain frequencies to come through. And they only allow hydrogen alpha to come through. And there's filters that only allow that to come through. And they're very expensive because they have to provide a modicum of safety to the people that are looking through them. Oh, yeah. You can't look through them, have a lens break or something like that, because then it'll blind you before your brain even knows your eye is being damaged. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the problem with these telescopes. I did a demo with our 14-inch telescope in the observatory at this location, at this place. People came in and said, "Can we observe the sun?" And I would only look at it with projection. It was an open tube Cassegrain. Okay, it didn't have a corrector plate. And they said, "Can we look at it?" And I said, "Sure, but we can only do projection." "Oh, why can't we look through?" Well, we had a full solar filter for the cover, but I didn't want to get people used to peeking in that eyepiece because, so I just did projection onto a large card. And I wanted to show them how dangerous it was and how much sunlight in a 14-inch telescope was being focused onto such a tiny dot where it came out of the eyepiece to go to be projected on a screen. So I took a pencil and I passed it through the beam, through the sunbeam coming through. Instant fire, instant breaking of the pen. Just went like a laser, cut it right through.
Oh, yeah.
I had people give me, they were audible. There was audible gasps of people listening and watching this thing happen. And one guy picked up the pencil and says, "Wow, that could have been my eye." I go, "And you wouldn't even have known it happened. You'd be blind before your brain even felt the pain." So, it takes you about a 1/10 of a second to react, and in a 50th of a second, you're blind. So you got to be careful. Okay, this.
If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to get a hydrogen alpha telescope. Those things are horribly expensive.
They are.
Any meaningful aperture, they get real expensive really fast.
They do.
Really?
They do.
Really.
I have that personal solar telescope.
Uh-huh.
The PST, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's not good enough to hook a camera up to and start streaming it, though. You'd have to get one of those Solar Max systems to really do it.
PST has I forget what, a 40 millimeter aperture or something, 40 or 60.
Yeah. It's not very large. Okay, so this is my focus setting, 48,548. And I'm on an automatic system, so it's 54.8 in the building. I've enabled the automatic temperature compensation. So as you can see, the focus has stayed true to form. And the more coefficients you get, the better the focus will remain overall. This is called the poor man's double cluster right here. All right. Hey, GASCO 77, how are you? let's take an image of the poor man's cluster. We'll do this for, say, 8. No, let's do. We'll do 10 seconds. We can adjust that. Okay, so there we go, and we'll live stack it. We can get some good shots of these clusters when it's not. Let me clear that. When it's got a full moon out there. Okay. All right, now it'll come in. Hello, Susan Woodcarver. Oh, that's pretty. Let's do this. Make an adjustment. Look at that. Wow, satellite came through. And let's get the color ready.
When we looked at the Pleiades and the Hyades there where Aldebaran is, those are the 2 closest star clusters to Earth. The Hyades is the closest, and the Pleiades is the next closest. Hyades is about 170 light years away, and the Pleiades is about 400 light years away.
400, yeah.
You know, so when you look up in the sky at Taurus and you see the Hyades and the Pleiades, it can give you a very sort of a 3-dimensional depth of field when you look at both of them.
Oh, yeah. It's really pretty.
Pretty's good.
Yeah. We're on schedule to get our Starlink next month. So I'll be going out there to install it, I hope. And if you can see, you see this satellite here. Notice there's a break in it right there. Very interesting. I wonder if that was in between exposures because we're stacking. Maybe I paused it a little bit. That should have been just continuous because nothing. It would be an even amount of dark versus light if it was a tumbling rocket body. They don't speed up and slow down. But that's pretty, isn't it? It's a beautiful little cluster. Let's see if I can do an adjustment here. It's going to go up there. I don't want to do that. Oh, just do an adjustment. Again, this is the poor man's double cluster. A little higher.
W13, I have to defend Webb there. I used to be a doubting Thomas about Webb, and I no longer am. I've been very impressed by the mission so far.
I love hearing you talk like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, heck. $15 billion or $10 billion, whatever the number is.
10.
I mean, a ton of engineering went into that thing, and they had to build it so it would last and be robust and stand up to the rigors of space. And it's a specialized instrument because it's infrared, and a whole ton of your tax dollars got spent on it. But hopefully it's going to do what they've designed it and built it to do. And science and technology isn't cheap. It's big science, too, with a capital B.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, you know, when people ask about why the infrared, well, the Hubble Space Telescope also can see into the infrared, but it can't go very far into the infrared. And so why does we even care? Because when we look at an object in space, like these stars you see right here on the screen, okay, they have a spectrum. And in that spectrum, we see dark lines. in the spectra of the star, vertical lines. Throughout the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, we see dark lines in there interspersed. And they mean something. They tell us all about the chemical composition. Well, galaxies also have a spectrum as well. Some have bright lines, emission lines, and some have some dark lines. So what's that telling you? It tells us that when we look at a spectrum, we can tell the composition and get an awful lot of information about these objects. In fact, it can tell us more than we've ever known. So the problem we see is that when we see galaxies that are far away, we find that they're moving away from us very fast. Now you might say, why is that? It's because the universe is expanding. It's going to be a situation where, let's say you had a balloon and you blow it up to be about the size of a softball. Then you take a Sharpie like this one and you just put dots all over the balloon, okay? And then you blow it up more. The balloon, as you blow it up, as it gets bigger and bigger, the parts that are out here, these marks on the balloon farthest from you are all, in fact, all the marks on the balloon are moving away from every other mark on the balloon, okay? That's expansion of the universe in a nutshell. However, what we're talking about here with the Webb can be illustrated by also considering that as you blow into the nozzle of the balloon, the dots near your mouth are moving away from you slower than the dots at the far end of the balloon. They're moving away faster, all right? So think of that as a model of the universe. Galaxies that are farther away are moving away faster and faster the farther they are from us. What does that mean? It means that the galaxies will suffer something we've discovered called a redshift. Redshift is where, as something moves away, all of its lines, all those spectral lines I was telling you about, they get shifted toward the red end of the spectrum. And Hubble could see galaxies out to a certain part of shift because as they get shifted to the red end of the spectrum, if this is the visible part of the spectrum here, well, the lines can get shifted out here so that some of them are out in the infrared. Well, Hubble could see some of those. But we have galaxies that are shifted way, way, way out there, way farther beyond the ability for the Hubble to see. So we have a dead zone. There's certain things we cannot see, and so we can see out to the cosmic microwave background with radio telescopes. What we can't see is the galaxies between then, which is about 13.7 billion years ago, or so, and where Hubble leaves off. That's a dead zone, something we never saw. And we had to have an infrared system that could see out that far. To see that far, we need to be able to go into a range of 28,800 nanometers or so, which is to say, it's not just the infrared, it's the farther infrared region that we have been unable to see thus far. And we're seeing it with a telescope that's 100 times better than Hubble. And it can do everything Hubble could do in the infrared and a lot more. Now, you might say, well, that's a $10 billion device just to show us those galaxies. That's not all it's going to do. You know why? It's going to look in this image. You see all the dark space in between the stars? Well, you know better now to think that that's empty space. I've shown you time and time again how in between those stars many times is dark nebula, dark clouds of dust. And only if it's illuminated by a star or if it's being reflecting light from a nearby bright set of stars, such as over in the Orion Nebula, far away from the nebula, only in those cases would we actually see that dark nebula is there. And then, unless we have an infrared telescope that can look deep enough into the infrared to see what's going on in there, we won't see it. We won't know what's happening deep inside that nebula. So that's what this is all about. The James Webb is very good at doing that too. we're going to be able to not only see that, but exoplanets, planets that are going around other stars, well, they may have atmospheres. Those atmospheres warm up, and they give off heat, which is infrared energy, as we've been talking about. And the James Webb is ideally placed to be able to look at those atmospheres. And think about this. They can look at those atmospheres and figure out what exactly is in those atmospheres. That is the best possible thing, right? So I think that's pretty cool. You know? So that's what the James Webb's missions are going to be.
You're dropping out on me pretty badly. Vera says you're fluctuating to her. Other people say you sound good. I don't know if it's something with sound set up, but you're dropping out to the point that I can barely hear you. Very choppy.
Okay, Bonnie says I was fine. JSCO says fine. Okay, well, you know what? Susan Woodcarver. Okay, so it might be the setup between you and I.
Okay.
But you can hear me talking now, right?
I can now, yes.
Okay, that's odd. All right. Uh-oh. Who's this? Matagi and the Parrot. Wow, that's pretty cool. What was the moon on April 24th, 1966? The evening Leonid meteor? Do you know what he means by that, Daryl?
What was the moon like on the night of the Leonid meteor shower on
April 24th?
Well, the Leonid meteor shower didn't happen in April. It happens in November.
Right.
I don't know where you get that number at, Matangi.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's okay, Matangi. Just explain for us, and we'll be happy to try and answer for you. Okay, so I stacked 65 of these images for this little cluster, and we're going to save it now. Every time we save, you'll see a line across the top. That's the green line. It tells you we're saving a astronomical stack, which is a FITS file, F-I-T-S. But don't worry. If you don't want to play with those at all, you don't have to, because I'm going to save this exactly as seen. And then it's a ping file that is a regular image file that you can download, and use as wallpaper. On full moon nights, we're doing it more just to basically just keep up that we're a record of the night. We're not necessarily going to try to capture anything that's going to be groundbreaking. We do enough of that on the nights without the moon. So tonight is kind of an interesting night. It's more of a night to make sure the focus system is running, and to take pictures of cool clusters, and to take you guys along for the ride. Skunk Ape, how are you? Good to see you. Now, Matangi, that's okay. No reason to be sorry. But feel free to explain, and we'll be happy to help you out. If you want to rephrase your question. There's no dumb questions, so just go right ahead and explain to us if you will. No one here is gonna have any problem. We're all good here. We all support each other here. We're all learning. Okay, so that's done. I'm gonna go down to 1 second again. I can tell that the internet's a little bit labored tonight from the desert to here. I can't wait for it to be 20 times better than it is.
I was wondering if that might be why I hear you dropping out. Mark, I'm going to disconnect. Can you call me right back, please?
Sure.
Okay, I want to see if... I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call him again.
Hello?
Hey there. Are you back?
I'm back. Are you there? I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay. Share your screen again, please.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that would help. Thank you for reminding me.
Sure.
I share my screen with Daryl so he can see the real-time imagery so that he's not like 30 seconds or 15 seconds behind when looking on YouTube. So, all right, so let's go check out something different now. First, since we were talking about the James Webb Telescope, I would like to just show you this right now. This is the James Webb Telescope tracker, and what they're doing right now is these are the mirror segments. They're actually checking all the mirror segments and calibrating the mirror segments, and it's going to be doing that for quite some time. And as you can see, it's 92% of the distance to the Lagrange point 2, L2, the parking spot in space. All right, so we're actually only 71,000 miles from Lagrange point 2, so it's going to get there pretty fast. However, you'll notice the cruising speed in miles per second is now, it's going 1/10 of a mile per second. It was going a lot more before, but it's like a car going uphill. They time it so that by the time it gets to Lagrange point 2, it's slowing down, it comes almost to a stop. It's like a car being given enough power to go up the hill without any power and then just stop at the top of the hill. So that's what we're doing here. In fact, you can think of Lagrange point 2 as like a little hill. All right? And at L2 there, the car is going to need a little bit of energy to keep it on top of the hill. All right? Because it can be dislodged from the top of the hill. Right? It's not a stable location, it's a metastable location. And that's how Lagrange points work. They're either stable or they're sort of stable. And L2, in line with the sun, the earth, and the moon, well, essentially, in line with the earth and the sun, basically, out 1,000,000 miles from Earth, that's a partially stable or metastable Lagrange point. So that's what we got out there. So you can see that's the little sidebar to what we're doing now. Okay, and now back to here. We are in our location here to find the next object up for bids, and the price is right. And let's see what we got.
Mark, are you playing music?
Yeah, the music's in the back.
Well, okay, we've had this problem before. You had dropped out completely on me. I couldn't hear you at all just now.
I don't know. Let's see. Let me go and check the settings. Okay. Let's see the settings.
There's a 37 cluster. People might enjoy that on a on a moon.
I'm gonna check that out too. Okay. Yeah, you should not be hearing. You don't hear any music though, Daryl.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
It's just I know
Yeah,
this has happened before, and music seemed to be part of the issue.
Yeah, I have it really low though. It's not really high. So I'm not sure.
I can hear you again right now. Carry on then. If this gets bad enough, I'll just have to go to the stream and hang out and chat.
Okay. I don't know why it's doing that, because I literally didn't change anything from what worked before for us. Welcome to technology, right?
Okay. Sorry, folks.
No worries. It's got to be frustrating as heck trying to listen to what's going on, you know? All right, let me I want to try and get us to go to this cluster. There we go. The weird thing is, Daryl, I haven't had any problems listening to you or hearing you at all.
Oh, maybe it's a bug, not a feature. I don't.
Oh, great.
I don't know. It.
Yeah. All right.
I report.
All right. Well,
you
we want to
decide.
make sure that all works. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right, so we're going to be looking now at what is known as Messier 35. And Messier 35, last time I went to it, the telescope didn't know the coordinates of it properly. Yeah, see, and once again, I don't know why it does that, but that's okay. I can move the telescope up there manually. It's not a problem. We can also see the Crab Nebula tonight, too. So the Gemini twins also have, at the top, or actually the bottom by their feet, I think it's Castor's shoe buckle, right? Are you able to hear me, Daryl?
For the moment, yes.
Okay. Is it Castor's shoe buckle?
That's interesting. I've never heard it put that way. How close are you to the star Alhina? Alhina is I believe the foot of Pollux, though.
Okay. Yeah, I'm moving now. I should have it in the view. There it is. Dead center. Okay, this is Messier 35. This is a beautiful object in a small telescope. And when I saw this the first time as a kid, I was like, wow, what a beautiful cluster. It's a beautiful little jewel box. All right, and then right near it is another jewel box, which we'll see momentarily. So I'm going to let the telescope acquire a guide star, which it's doing right now. All right, and then we'll do a 15-second image here. So there we go. And then we'll do a stack like that. And Daryl, for the record, I'm also noticing that my sound is doing a weird fluctuation, which I don't understand why, but so something's not right.
Okay.
I'm gonna clear this. All right. Okay, and we should see Messier 35 now, dead center. It's there, but we also have the moonlight. So let's get rid of the... Let's adjust, do a little image processing here quickly. So we'll drop this brightness dramatically. And there's Messier 35. And that other cluster over there, which is really cool. I'm going to tell you about that. Okay. All right, the moon, as I said, is making this weird asymmetric glow here. But that's okay, because we get to see these stars is really interesting. This is Messier 35, beautiful gem. And then this guy right here is another cluster. But notice the color. The color is more red. Now, what's weird is it's red because of the fact that it's further away. Now, there's something that occurs in our night sky with clusters that are far away. They suffer something called interstellar reddening. So when a cluster is far away, if you're seeing it through some dust, okay, then when you see the dust, that is like at sunset when you see the sun look red on the horizon. We're seeing it through more air and more dust and particulates. You know, like in a volcanic eruption, the sun looks very red. Well, we also have, in this condition, we have dark dust in our galaxy. It's pollution, basically, in our galaxy. It's soot, it's carbon-based materials, it's molecules. You've got formaldehyde, methane, you have CO2, you have water ice on these little silica grains, and beyond. There's more and more, and this is dark dust that will actually cause the high frequency light from those stars to scatter. In the same thing as we talked about before, the same thing that causes our sky to be blue also removes the blue light from distant stars, and we actually see that this cluster looks red, but it really isn't. It's just as bright as this cluster. It's probably similar in age, maybe a little younger, so it should not be red if we didn't have reddening. And in astronomy, one of the things we have to do is take into account interstellar reddening and remove that from our equations when we actually do calculations on clusters. Right? So I'm going to do some color processing just to kind of do that. Okay. All right, so now in this case we actually see Messier 35. I'll go to 50%. And I'm going to say this is Messier 35. It's an open cluster. Yeah, and I can see that. Let's go back down a little. All right. Okay, let me do this. I'm looking at my focus and thinking I may have to add another, make another calibration on that, but I will. We're near the Monkey Head Nebula, Daryl.
Cool.
And the jellyfish. So we can go. We should check out the Monkey Head, don't you think?
Sure.
I think
I
that'd
liked
be
it
kind
when
of
we
cool.
saw that before.
I didn't see it with the full moon, though.
Yeah, this is true.
Well, let's see it. Let's see just how this reacts. Boy, our internet is slow because my dialogues are taking time to come in here. Okay, well, we'll save this. We've done 21 stacked. Now I'll save it just like we see it. And what gets saved, let me tell you what's happening too. When I say save, where's it going? We have a live server, and it's going up to the live server. And if you want to see the live server location, if you go to my Facebook site, Mark D'Antonio site, or if you go to my SkyTour live stream Facebook page or Facebook group, you'll see a pinned post up there as well that gives you the location of the live server. And people that are here, if you know that, you can put that address in the chat. And I want to say hello to Lorraine Bryan. Hello there.
Working on it, Mark.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Darryl.
Sure.
So that's Messier 35 with the open cluster with this little other new general cataloger NGC object over here. That's a more distant cluster that's interstellar reddened. There it is. That's the live location for the server. And if you consider that when you go there, everything we've taken pictures of so far will be up there within a few minutes. So you get to see everything we do within seconds or minutes of us having done it. Depending on the speed of the internet, sometimes it's up there before we even get off the object. It's all there. Right now we're using a satellite internet that's like Viasat out in the desert, and it's a little slow, but when we get the Starlink, it's going to be 20 times faster, and it'll be more like real time. So it'll be much, much better. I cannot wait. I'm going crazy. I won't know what to do with myself, Daryl. I won't. I'll be like, wow. All right. So let's go here. 1 second here. Let's get rid of the stack.
Sorry, I was on mute again. I'm sure you'll figure something out once you get Starlink going. You'll be doing things that you didn't know you could do.
Well, I am. I'm thinking of a number of things, like the telescope behind me. I think I want to put the spectroscope on it and use it out in the desert, and then do a different one for here. I mean, the sky is so beautiful out there. You just can't deny it, you know. All right, that gave me the wrong thing. All right, we're gonna do 1 second, not that many seconds. All right. Okay.
I want to see when you get that column up out there. We talked about Omega Centauri before. I was reading up on Centaurus A recently, the galaxy that put out the big radial lobes and stuff, you know?
Yes.
If you'll be able to see Omega, Centaurus A is right above it.
It's above it, yeah.
Yeah.
For the short term, if I don't have these lifting piers in place, I'll be able to see Centaurus A before Omega Centauri.
Right.
I checked. Centaurus A is within the view limit for the telescope as it sits now.
Oh.
What we're talking about, folks, is putting a hydraulic system under the telescope or telescopes that'll be out there. And it's a lifting column. It's going to slowly lift the telescope up around 20 additional inches, so that after the roof comes off, the telescope will lift up and have a unobstructed view everywhere, all around it, to the horizon. That's the goal. And you know what? There's generally no value to looking below 20 degrees in general, because the sky usually isn't good enough to see things well 20 degrees below the horizon. In fact, you usually do 35 and above. We're doing 22 or so and above as it sits now. But the design originally called for about a 15 degrees above the horizon. However, in practice, when they built the building, they added extra, structure that eliminated a lot of that extra view and gave us 20 degrees, 22 degrees or so, as opposed to our 15 degree view angle. So that took a few things right out of my contention. Out in Arizona, the sky is sometimes so good that you could look down at 10 degrees above the horizon and see a reasonable object. And that's kind of what we're thinking now. So the lifting column is going to lift the telescope up, and it's going to allow us to see these things. All right, so we're really excited about doing that. And the lifting columns are really not that bad. I'm getting one to bring here to actually work with the existing telescope. And that existing telescope, just to show you, is right behind me. Oh, you can't really see it there. Okay. Hey Siri, turn the light to white. Okay, there you go. Now you can see it back there. That's the telescope system that we're going to put on a lifting column out here. Okay. Hey Siri, turn the light back to blue.
Did you want to turn your light blue?
Yes. Okay. So, there we go. And I'll actually change it. That wasn't exactly what I wanted. So that said, we have a marvelous future here with this whole process. We're looking so forward to it. Oh, it's like, oh baby, hey. So that said, let's go see how the Monkey Head looks. That's the Monkey Head Nebula. All right, let's get in there. That's the Monkey Head, and let's go there. So this is our planetarium screen, and the telescope control is through that. And let's go back. It's probably going to go to Propus. And Propus is a star that's, I think that's where it's going to go. Let's find out. Oh, maybe it's going to go to Tijat. Yeah, it's going to go to Tijat. Okay. Okay. All right. We're going to wait for it to... Get it? All right. And now we should be moved in on the Monkey Head. Lock on. I think that's it right there. Well,
I was really impressed when we saw the Monkey Head once before. It kind of reminded me of the Pac-Man Nebula. I thought it was even cooler looking.
Yeah.
Skunk, picking up a dark doodad. It's probably going to be hard to pick up any dark nebula on. It's a full moon night tonight.
Yeah. We'd love to see dark nebulae. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one thing. When we talked about M78 earlier, I thought you might find appealing. It has dark nebulosity in it, but it might not be a good night for it. Mark, could you back out a little bit on Stellarium? I just want to see where we are in the sky.
Sure. Let me just get the Monkey Head in here, and I'll bring us back in. There it is. Okay, so now see, my volume just somehow is rocketing up high again. I have no idea what's going on there. All right, we got to figure this all out. James Dugan from Down Under, how are you? James Dugan is one of our longtime listeners from Australia. How you doing? Hey there, Corey Williams. How are you? Nice to see you here. If you just joined us, please consider subscribing. We'd love to get new subscribers and teach astronomy live with a live observatory. Okay, Daryl, let me back out here for you.
All right.
Okay, if you look to the lower right, you got the 37 cluster there, the Rosette. So
okay,
we're kind
very
of,
good.
Now you know where we are.
I know where we are now.
Yeah. All right. All right, so let's go back in. We'll leave it there. And there we go. Okay, so here's the Monkey Head. We looked at it one night, and it was stunning. And oh, that's great, James. I asked him how he's doing. He says going great, Mark. Great. Okay. Let's drop it down a little. Thanks, JSCO. That's valuable information. He said the volume is consistent for me. That's good. I want to make sure. Oh, yes. Thank you, Vera. Yeah, please put a like in there, will you? Thumbs up. Okay, we'll just center this up. If you look up there, you can see the telescope in the building. It's aiming up and kind of toward the northeast. All right. And you can see the red nebula here. This is a live view, by the way. You can see that the noise changes every second because this is a 1 second exposure. Okay. I could try. Let's see now with the moon out. It might not be very effective, but let's as one of the effects. Let's do an adjustment to try and bring out some additional detail. Let's do an image boost. It just might get too bright. Yeah, too bright. The moon is not helping us here. But the filter that we're using is. And so that's why we can see this nebula at all on a full moon night. I mean, that's a feat right there. Seeing a nebula on a night of the full moon is absolutely astonishing. Okay, let's do a... we'll do 18 seconds right now. Then we're going to remove our hyper processing mode there that I call it, and we're going to go into the live stack. And I got to go into the live stack and clear it. There we go. Now we'll see the Monkey Head Nebula in earnest. There it is. Now the first frames will generally have a lot of noise in them. Okay, and as the second ones and third ones and more come in, you'll see that the noise drops quite a lot. Right? See how mottled it looks in here? Well, now, okay, you can see that it's dropped quite a lot. That doesn't look bad, Daryl.
Yeah.
Do some color processing here.
I remember when we saw it the other time.
Yeah.
It was done on a relatively dark night, and I just thought it was stunning. I thought it was better than the Pac-Man.
Yeah,
Pac-Man
I think
more famous.
Yeah. I agree. Let me see if I can... our histogram has shifted so much because of the moon. That's the response. The other thing I want to do is I want to see how our focus looks. I'm going to go up to 150% here. Okay, we're out of focus. So we're going to stop this stack. I'm going to clear it. Get rid of it. And get a new data point for my focusing system here. Alright. Okay, 1 second. Alright, so let's go down to 1 second. Alright. There we go. Let's bring...
Please.
Okay, I'm just going to do a focus.
Alright, right back.
Alright, so you see these look like little donuts. I got to get rid of that. So let's see. Let's see what's going to take to get rid of that. Actually, let's get out of this. Okay, 52.6. It should be 48,522 at 52.6. So 48,522. It should be this. Let's find out how accurate that works. Okay. That's not what I like. Okay, so I have to just go a little more. We'll figure it out. Yeah, see, now we're getting focused. 48, 318. Okay. I can tell that this process is not perfect. So, this takes tuning. Hello there, Jessica S. Hey, DK18. Hey, C&D boy, thanks for deleting the message. Alright, yeah, let's see. Let's go back up and see if it has to be up more. Let's go down. I'm just doing a focus calibration, guys, so hang in with me for just a moment. Okay, keep going. Okay, just a sec. I'm getting close. I'm at 150% of the zoom. I'm actually zoomed in far greater than I should be, or would need to be, but if I can focus really, really highly zoomed, then I should be all set. Weird guy, that's exactly what I'm doing, actually. I have a system on board that I am actually creating a focus system and focus coefficients based on temperature. So this is 48, 330. All right, and let's see what the temperature is. 52.4. All right, so 52.4, 48. Interesting. Let's see what this does. Let's see what that says. At 52.5, 48, 330. Okay, so I'm running out of space here. So 52.5, 48, 330.
Back. Are you still enabled?
Yeah. No, not at the moment. I'm actually got another focus coefficient that I was putting in here.
Okay.
48, 330. Okay, because at 50.6 it was 48, 301. And that's at 50.6. And the temperature right now, 52.5. So it should be a little higher than that. So 48, 330. Well, it's trending in the right direction. That's for sure. It's definitely trending in the right direction. It's doing the right thing. And I guess I needed this extra coefficient in there. Okay. Got it. Now we can get rid of this. And we can pop out of this and go back to checking out the Monkey Head Nebula. And here we go. So now you can see how pointy the stars look. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's do this again. Let's do 25 seconds. All right. And do the live stack. And bring it up. Okay. The progress bar on the right here is moving. This is telling us over there, you see it. This is telling you the progress on this exposure. See 21, 22, 23. And then boom, we see our Monkey Head Nebula. Now, yes, it looks a little bit too bright because we have extraneous light in here from the moon, but we're going to get rid of that right here. Look at that, Daryl. That doesn't look bad at all.
Mm-hmm. I can see the monkey's head.
Yeah.
See his mouth and his eye.
Yeah. All right, so and right now we have we've stacked 2 frames. All right, so we're going to be able to play a little bit with some of these features, and let's set the black level here. All right. Here we go.
Oh, I think that's cool. That's better than a Pac-Man, in my opinion.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, rascally, I got a haircut. Not bad considering there's a full moon out there filling the sky with just ultra bright. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's go see. This lighting effect is due to the moonlight. So you can see the filter is really fighting to bring in what we need to see, and so it is. If we go to 100% on the size of our sensor. Wow, look at that. Interesting cluster over here, Daryl.
Uh-huh. Same here, weird guy.
Say?
Oh, a weird guy said, when he watched Wizard of Oz the first time, flying monkeys gave me nightmares. Gave him nightmares. It did me too.
Yeah, me too. I remember actually when you heard dun 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 dun, right, and the soldiers going yo yo yo, yeah. Watching him that just scared me like you can't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very, very frightened child of Wizard of Oz. And I never knew that people could have green faces. I mean, I know the Orion slave girl in Wizard of Oz, but, that's it. All right, let's process this a little. Hey, not bad for a full moon, huh? Look at that. I talked to Dean about these here, by the way, these artifacts.
I was
take
about
another
to say
visit
something.
Out there. Yeah. It's going to take another visit out there to work on that.
What did he think that was?
I got to take the optical train apart and see if there's a spider web in there. Or possibly something on the filter. It's definitely something closer to the camera. It wouldn't be on the corrector plate or anything like that.
Okay.
Look at this. This is neat, Daryl.
It is.
I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into enhancement. I'm now going to sharpen this up. So this is an unsharp mask. Watch it get sharper. Look at that. So now it's sharper. That's pretty cool. You know, the extra haze again is the moonlight, but we actually have this beautiful view. Yeah. We can see some dark nebula in here because it's sort of silhouetted by the brighter hydrogen alpha emission in the back. Okay, because again, this is the Monkey Head Nebula, and it's classified as an emission nebula. We've stacked 11 of these. Doesn't look bad. I'm actually. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I'm pleased that we're seeing it as well as we can.
Yeah.
See this this modeled thing, this modeling guys. This is what we call image noise, and this image noise can be alleviated by further exposures. Because what we're doing is what's called live stack. We're stacking images on top of each other. We're first of all taking the pictures, aligning them with each other, and then stacking them. And we keep doing that. Right now we've stacked 13 of them on top of each other. The more we stack, the more this noise goes away. So we're stacking to bring out the detail of the nebula and push the noise further into the background. So we'll see more nebula and less noise out here. That's the idea of stacking. All right. Let's try one other thing here. Let's go back to the data and let's see about dropping the darkness down a little bit more. How'd that do? Wow, that doesn't look bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good, Daryl.
Yeah. No, I see his face on the right. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Say
I was
again?
gonna say we should try M78.
Oh, sure.
Hey, JSO, that monkey is scary. No, he's not.
I see his mouth. I see his nose, I guess, and his eye, and that looks like his ear, kind of over on the left side. He sure is evil looking. I know that.
Well, because he red?
That helps. No, I think that just beats Pac-Man all to heck.
Well, yeah, look at this dark nebula in here. You know, this is really pretty in here.
Yeah.
And think of it this way, guys. When you look at this, you see this sort of sharp edge of dark gas here that's being silhouetted by the bright hydrogen line emission in here. This cloud doesn't end here. It goes all the way out here. All the way out here. In all those directions. This is an area where there's a giant set of molecular clouds in here. And so, but when a star cluster forms in here, it will cause the hydrogen gas to glow like this. That glow that we see can almost look three-dimensional. I mean, this almost looks like a hollow in here. And indeed, these young hot stars, when they're formed, they do hollow out a cavity, right? And, you know, when they hollow out a cavity, then that becomes somewhat looking like this visible open space in here. But this is like a hollowed out cavity that then has this beautiful hydrogen emission, because when the young stars, they have these strong stellar winds, they push away the gas and the dust, and they cause it to sort of pile up out here. And so we see some of that in a lot of these clusters, the Rosette Nebula in particular, which would be interesting if we should be able to take a picture of the Rosette soon. You know?
Sure.
This is pretty.
Well, hey, if you can pull that up, you can get the Rosette.
Yeah, I think so. Right, so we did... Well, I want to do M78.
Okay.
So let's save this, because you had requested M78. So there we saved it as a FITS file. Now we're going to save it just like you see it here. Alright, save exactly as seen. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to clear the stack. And go back to 1 second exposure so you can see what 25 seconds bought us with this. Going back to 1 second. Now look. That's what it looks like with a 1 second exposure. Alright. So now, let's head down to Electric Avenue. What do I want to go see? I mean, we should see the 37 cluster. We can see the Rosette. I think the Rosette is in view now. If you think about it. Actually, let's try M78 first. Rosette's down below. I think M78 is going to be at a higher altitude.
No, it's just a little to the upper left balance back there.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I'm not sure if it'll work, but we'll try it. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to have it go to Betelgeuse.
Okay, somebody was asking about Betelgeuse earlier.
Oh, good. But this is going to show me where Betelgeuse is in relation to this edge of the roof. Right there. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. Betelgeuse, there it is. We might be in luck here, Daryl. Betelgeuse is a huge, supergiant red star. And we're actually not even... We're actually zoomed in quite substantially. Let's zoom out a little. Okay, there we go. Nice. Alright. Now, it's not the halo you see, but Betelgeuse has a shell of gas around it, which is really interesting. The shell of gas around Betelgeuse is actually something that you can only see with certain types of telescopes, and we don't have that kind of telescope. But the shell of gas is because Betelgeuse has been losing mass and sending out tons of plasma from its surface, and that's making a shell around the star, making it very dusty. There's a lot of soot as well that it's making, that it's pushing out as well. Now it's also a very active star. In fact, it has these gigantic lumps on it, kind of like a rotting orange with bumps all over it. That's kind of what Betelgeuse looks like. It's a strange star, you know, and those bumps are part of what it means to be a supergiant star near the end of its life. I hope the star goes supernova. If it went supernova right now, it would be the brightest object in the sky for months. It would even be seen during the day, most likely. I feel like if we just stay on it, Daryl, we'll just see it go supernova. Wouldn't that be something? Do like a supernova watch with Betelgeuse. Were you able to hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you at all.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. You dropped out again for a second.
I have no idea why. Well, I said it'd be great to do a supernova watch with Betelgeuse.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that, you know. It would certainly be something to see. It would make me sad to see Orion changed forever, though. But whatever.
But it would be such a... Yeah?
Yeah, well, sure, it'd be quite a spectacle, and be interesting to see what was left afterwards, you know. We could see what would be left and what would be staying there and developing over time.
Yeah, we'd have something to see in the sky for, you know, for multiple lifetimes. It'd be beautiful. Really beautiful. Okay, well, let's... Now that we're at Betelgeuse, and we want to go, from Betelgeuse, we want to go down to M78. So I don't think we're that far away. So let's try to do that. All right, let's go back to M78. All right, let's go there. So where we're going, by the way, is just above the belt of Orion, and we're going to look at what this program calls the Casper, the Friendly Ghost Nebula. And to get there, we're doing a high-precision slew to a star that's going to tell you what it is in just a second. Bellatrix, which is one of Orion's primary stars. Okay. So then once once Bellatrix has been centered, then it takes us down to the nebula, which is right there. We can see the Casper, the Friendly Ghost Nebula right there. Also known as Messier 78.
It is? Okay. I didn't know they were the same thing.
Yeah, see? M78, Casper, the Friendly Ghost Nebula.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, so we're there. Alright, so we are at this object. Messier 78. So, let's move it into a more reasonable position. It's interesting that we can see the glow of the main segments here. And that's something that usually shows up quite nicely. But let's let the telescope capture. Okay, first before I do that, we're going to, again, tonight, like I said, part of it is we're doing focusing. So 48, 330, 52.5. So if I turn this on, instead of 48, 330, what's it going to change the focus to? Okay. It's not going to change it. That's good. All right, we are fine. Okay. Very good. All right, so. Hey there, Ride the Wind. How you doing? And Raymond Bobel, how are you? Nice to see you. Haven't seen you for a while, Ray. I'm glad you're here. Let's go take a look at the details. Let's do a 25-second photo of this guy. And then get out of our hyper processing, which we use as sort of like a high intensity finder. Then we'll come in here into the live stack and clear the monkey head from the buffer. And now what we'll see is Casper the Friendly Ghost. Let's hear how it looks now. This will be kind of cool. See how it looks. Alright, so first of all, let's adjust the settings. Okay. That's interesting. Let's attack the colors. Alright. Drop out the red a little. Alright.
Can see the dark nebulosity somewhat.
Yeah, it's right there. See it? We can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think we just have to continue to stack. Again, the fact that we can see a nebula during a full moon, you know, I'm pleased.
Sure.
It's just pretty good. All right, let's go zoom in now, make sure that the focus is maintaining. I have the system running.
Well, those lines really show up.
Yeah, they do. They I think that those lines are related to something that is either on the filter or something that is on the camera sensor. And the reason is because when there's a moon out, they're very bright. When there's no moon, you almost can't see them.
Mm.
So clearly, that's something we need to concern ourselves with. That's good. We'll take care of it. Okay, let's take this line right here. You'll see it says black level right here. Okay, it's sort of behind the name. That black level adjusts the background star darkness, as you can see. And when there's a full moon out, there's a lot of things to consider. We have to worry about that glow that we might catch, you know. Hey there, Gabriella Basso. How are you? Welcome. We're broadcasting live from the observatory building. You see there is in the Arizona desert, but I'm running it from the other side of the country in Connecticut. It's a remote observatory that I built out there. We've got one here. We've got one out there. The one here is being refurbished, and we outgrew the building, basically. And so what we've done is we've installed the system you see over my head. That's out in the desert at around 2,000 foot elevation, in a building that we built, and with a telescope we set up out there. And we've been having a great time. I'm glad you stumbled upon us, Gabriella. You can start a conversation with the other people here, and you'll see that we have an awful lot of fun. You can check out the YouTube page as well and join us next time and all the times, because we really have a good time. Just to give you an idea, over my head you can see the telescope here. This is the telescope control system here. This is the main view, of course. This is a peek into the telescope computer. And then over here, this is the camera control system over here. All right. Our camera is running at negative, right now we're at minus 10 degrees Celsius. The super cooled sensor, well, relatively cool sensor, gives us the ability to see things without lots of noise in our image. Right. And you're in the UK. Excellent. Wonderful. I'm glad you, like I said, glad you found us. And Raymond says, don't laugh, but I had a Casper the Friendly Ghost doll when I was a child. You know what? So did I. I remember Casper the Friendly Ghost. Pull a string, he'd say something. I don't remember if... I remember the one with the plastic head. I think mine glowed in the... Did your glows in the dark too? Mine was that weird green color and it would glow in the dark. I don't know if it talked though. Simone Maxim, how are you? You're in Casa Grande, Arizona. Fantastic. I know where Casa Grande is. The one we're using, you see over my head, that's actually a 10-inch aperture. It's supposed to be an f8 telescope. If you know anything, folks, Simone, you might know this. But if you know anything about focal lengths, f8 would typically be a relatively slow system, because you know what it is, right? f2 is very fast. f22, the opening is stopped down really small in your camera, and that gives you you got to take exposures for a longer time to higher that number. Well, f8 is okay, it's okay, and that's what this telescope originally was. But this telescope is now running at f2. All right, f2, and that means that we have removed we've changed the guts of the telescope to make it run at f2, and it also increases our field of view. So we have 4 full moons across and 3 full moons tall in field size. That's what we've got here. So it's really something. And we see beautiful, expansive views of the night sky. We have a full moon tonight, okay? So unfortunately, Simone, you actually see some light and other issues that normally don't show up. We normally have the most beautiful views. Red Dragon, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming by. Make sure you subscribe, guys. You know, David Schmidt, I think you said hi before and I missed it. Great to see you again as usual. David Schmidt is in Thailand. An expat, I believe, who has been there. I don't know how many years you've been in Thailand, but you really are dedicated to the kids that you teach, man. So that's why I think that, we owe you a debt of gratitude. All right, so this is the Casper the Friendly Ghost Nebula. And with the full moon right now, the fact that we can see this kind of detail is really kind of a miracle. There's a lot more hiding there that we can't see tonight with the moon. So if we adjust for the moon, we would be doing something along these lines right here. And then pull back the white level and come back and bring us more data. This is called a contrast stretch. So when I do that, you'll see what happens. Okay. It's a contrast stretch. So the outer perimeter looks like a weird donut, right? But you see more detail in there. That's just what we do when there's a full moon. It certainly doesn't look like that normally. But this is more like the full moon thing that we see. Okay, the light invading, no matter how good your filter is, moonlight is very bright. It's like shooting through a daytime sky almost. But we can, and I love it. It's really cool. Yes, Simone, everybody here is very respectful. We take care of each other. And honestly, there's no stupid questions. If someone has a question, there's no stupid questions. I can answer them. Daryl can answer them as well. Daryl, did you say hi to Simone?
I did in chat. Hello, Simone.
Ah. Oh,
and welcome.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, I remember Casper the Friendly Ghost. What was the name of the tough guy ghost?
Oh, we can turn it all. I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about. He was like Casper's cousin or something.
Nemesis. Yeah, he was the one with the taller head.
Yeah, he usually wore like a bowler hat too, I think.
Yes. Did he have a cigar?
Yes, I think so.
That's the one I remember. I don't remember. What was the name?
Wasn't Spooky, was it?
Oh, I don't know.
I'd have to look it up.
All right, guys. Just so you know, I'm going to get off this nebula and we're going to head over to the Rosette Nebula, which is always a good show no matter what it looks like, and to give you a really good idea. DK, you've never had a dumb question. Not at all. Alright, let's go back down to our 1 second exposure here. And we'll just do a little of our image processing preprocessor to bring up, make it kind of like a finder that's sort of like night vision enhanced effectively, so we can see kind of what we're looking at. Alright, now let's go back to our planetarium. This is what we use to maneuver around in the sky.
His name was Spooky. He was the tough little ghost. Right.
You were right. And he had a cigar with the bowler hat, right?
Yeah. Freckles, a derby hat, and a large black nose.
I remember that guy. Okay.
When I was a kid, I thought he was more interesting than Casper was. Casper was kind of a wuss.
Yeah. Well, I always thought he had something wrong with him because he had that big round head. Okay. We're going with our high precision slewing. We're going to find a star near where we're going. Alright. and then we are going to go from that star, and I have the display off down here so you can't see the name of the star right now, but we're going to go to a star in this area, and then from there go shooting over to the Rosette. So it looks like we're going to this star right here, and that star I'll tell you in a minute, but maybe I won't. Okay, well, in any case, we're on the Rosette now, so I might as well go over to it.
Mark,
Okay,
excuse me.
the Rosette is here. Yep, go ahead. All right. So I'm going to move over. On a moonless night, looking at the Rosette, it would look just stunning with so much detail in it. We actually have a bright moon right nearby, so I'm kind of tickled pink that I can actually see the pink of the nebula. It's really kind of cool. Wow. Okay. And by the way, thank you guys for coming out tonight to hang out with us. All right, I go there. I'm noticing a brightness shift too. I don't see any clouds. But let me go look at the all sky view. Not all sky, but the full view of the sensor here. All right, there we go. Yeah, no, there's no clouds. Okay. Step 1. Let's go do an exposure. If you haven't seen the Rosette Nebula through this telescope, guys, I mean, most of you may have, but if you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. You ready? You're gonna like this. This is something else. All right, 25 seconds. Off we go, and we're gonna take off the hypered view here. And we're gonna go into our live stack, clear the previous stack, which was that. All right. And now, 25-second shot coming in of the Rosette Nebula. Here it comes. I know it doesn't look like much, but let me get rid of the light. Look at that. Yeah, that's just beautiful. Yeah. And we will be able to adjust that as well. This is something. Let me mess with the colors here. That's better. Look at that. Now that's just beautiful. You know, I actually I fell in love with the Rosette Nebula years ago, and I just could never see it the way that I wanted to see it, you know. Yeah, Gabriella, isn't it beautiful? I mean, and you know what? I gotta be honest with you. This is about 1/10 of how beautiful it looks on a moonless night. So tonight we're doing this because I want to try and see how an absolutely full moon, full brightness, the worst brightness we could have, how it affects us. I've done it before, but I wanted to do it with these nebulae to see. And nebulae that are red like this one, emission nebulae, they're not so bad. Okay? But when we have blue nebulae, when you look at blue nebulae, sometimes with the blue sky view from the moon, the blue light from the moon, they kind of get lost. And even the red can get lost a little bit. You know, let's see if we can do an adjustment now. A little better. Are you back, Daryl? I can't tell. You're muted. All right, so let's move this over. Yeah, too much. Wow. Yeah, David, you're right. In this case, it really does look like a rose. And again, we're missing some of the detail out here because of the fact that the full moon has made it difficult to show those sections. I can actually try to pull those out a little bit by doing this. And it might show a little better. Yep. I don't know, Daryl. That doesn't look too bad for a full moon night, huh?
Oh, not at all. Very nice. You would
in
see
processing,
more
we
if it's
can
a dark
pull
sky,
away.
but hard to argue with that.
Well, when we process it later, I could actually remove a lot of that brightness, because normally we wouldn't see any of that brightness. It would be dark and beautiful and just stunning. Actually, we're supposed to have clear skies for the next week out there, so I'll be doing another stream. So you just remember this view of the Rosette, okay, and remember, and then see how what it comes like, what it looks like actually when we have none of that, no moon in the sky, and you'll see a huge difference. You know. Looks pretty though. This is at the size of the sensor as it is. So this sensor we have, it's 2 degrees across, right? From here to here is 2 full degrees. Okay. Now the moon is half a degree in size, so 30 arc minutes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, moons across. And it's 1.5 degrees tall. So we have 1, 2, 3 moons tall. All right. So that's how big this is. Okay. It's actually just a little bit bigger than the full moon. So that's pretty good. So when you look in the night sky, you look at the moon, this guy is actually a little bit bigger than the full moon in the sky. It's actually, I could have to draw a line. Let's see here. Let me do the. I think that outer circle is about the size of the moon. Maybe a little bigger. Yeah. Interesting. Right. And again, all these photos are made available as I take the pictures. I set it up so that the observatory ships the pictures out via satellite to our dynamic server, and you'll see there is going to be a directory placed out there already for this object. And then I go out to the directory and I put in the names. You know. Okay. So, how many have we stacked? We have stacked 9 images. We'll stack 10. And then we will move to another object. Ooh-ah! What's really neat when you look in here is you can see these dark tendrils of dark nebula. These are areas that are really, really important because it is within that dark nebula that planets and stars form. So let's see if we can just really enhance those. Okay. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Okay. A little bit less. Okay. Nice. So if we look at it from this point of view, right, these dark areas, these are areas where there might be self-condensing because of gravitational forces. But I wanted to show you something. This is the star cluster in here that formed it. It's only a few million years old. But you see this like round opening? It looks like it's round and open. That's what I was talking about before when I say that new young stars, their stellar winds are powerful. And their stellar winds push gas and dust away, clearing a central cavity, right, or a cavity that is the average size of the distribution of the cluster. And that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing this cavity that was created by these stars and their stellar winds. That means that these are pushing out winds that push other dust ahead of it. And it's like a snowplow effect. When that dust and those gases strike other gases out there, they cause them to heat up. But the stars themselves are very, very powerful and can cause the hydrogen gas in here to ionize. And that ionization is why we see this red glow. All right. So that is a process known as excitation, ionization, and recombination. Yay! You know. But anyway, that's just the nature of this. This is a beautiful nebula. I don't know, there's something to be said for this particular view, Daryl. It's not as detailed, but it is sort of elegant in its own way, don't you think?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I think it's great. And yeah, the moon maybe taking away some of the dimmer parts, but still, it looks really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. All right. Well, we'll pause this. We'll save it. And when I hit save, it immediately begins to ship it out of the observatory and send it up to the server. Daryl was very kind enough to publish that link in the chat earlier. So just go through the chat and you can find that link. I should actually just put it in every description. I don't know why I don't. Maybe I do. Oh.
Give me just a second and I'll post it again.
Yeah, I should put it in the descriptions too, so it's just in the description the whole time. It's such a silly thing not to do. Like a Castilian rose, Jessica S. says. Yeah, that's why it's called the Rosette. That's a Rosette Nebula. So once again, this was the Rosette Nebula. And I've saved it for you out there, so it's going to be up at the server here soon. So we'll clear this now. And go back to 1 second. And go to the next object up for bids, and the price is right. Yeah. Uh-oh. Aww.
Clouds?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The nemesis of astronomy, clouds. Well, let's actually see. We have a way of checking for that specifically. Let's go to our all-sky camera. And in the all sky, I'm going to see what's going on with these clouds. I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't like clouds. But that explains why we probably weren't seeing some of the detail. Okay, let's do a 8,000 millisecond or 8-second photo of the sky. It's going to tell us what we're looking at. Do one acquisition. Ah. That's Spock. That ruins the night. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Weather Underground for the observatory's location said earlier tonight that there was some slight chance of clouds.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's okay, folks. Not a big deal. This happens from time to time. And so what we'll do is we will... Let's see. We get started all. That's in the direction we want to go. Okay. We're so close to the Orion Nebula.
Do you still have that all-sky image?
I shut it down. Why?
I just wondered. I thought it looked like it was in the eastern half of the sky.
All right, let me.
Sorry, you don't have to do that.
No, actually, that's a good point. But I'm watching the clouds. I'm watching the clouds move. They're moving oddly toward the east or toward the west, actually.
Really?
Let's just do
know.
one more.
When all the persistent clouds out there had been running west to east, like the last week.
That's what they should be doing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. South is at the top of this image, and north is sort of at the bottom. And east is toward this direction. So, these clouds should be actually heading out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
There's Orion. Maybe we can get away with this, Daryl.
Maybe.
Alright. I'll leave this up, but I'll minimize it. Hi, Vera. You said, Mark says, Mark, you'll have to stream again this... Oh, I will, Vera. Don't you worry. Yes, Gabriella. I was a fan of cloud types and so forth for a number of years. I taught meteorology at a university, and I actually thought it was pretty interesting. But, you know, when you're observing, as you say, it's not that fun. Yeah, but see how far the moon is from us? It's really quite close. Let's try something else. Let's move away from... Let's move away. Run away, run away. We're going to run away now. Yeah, we're going to bring this down a little and go back. I think we should just, for fun, we just gotta try to come here and see the Horsehead Nebula, don't you think? And the Orion Nebula?
Sure.
I think that's... I mean, the Horsehead Nebula is certainly within sight. Okay. Well, there we're going to go. We're going to go there now. Check it out. Not going to close it. Not now. No way. Not going to do it. All right. Okay. And that's probably going to be one of Orion's main stars. Might be... Yeah, safe. I thought it was safe. And then it's going to move up. So if we can see safe, we can see everything in Orion. And I don't see clouds in Orion. As you pointed out earlier, Daryl. Oh, yes. Yeah, now this... Okay, that's the Flame Nebula right there. This is Alnitak, the leftmost star in the belt of 3 stars in Orion. And you can just barely make out this dark nebula silhouetted against this red nebula. And this satellite. Yeah. Orion is just full of satellites at all times. It just doesn't ever seem to go away. That's called the Rosette Nebula right there. And this is one of Daryl's favorite stars. This is Sigma Orionis.
Oh, yeah.
It's at the very least a quadruple star.
It's a sextuplet.
Yeah. Above 3 components, it's rare to get a stable system of stars that have more than 3. 4 is difficult unless it's like 2, like Epsilon Lyra, where there are actually 2 sets of stars orbiting around each other and then orbiting around each other in addition. That's a stable configuration. Okay. Let's try 25 seconds here. But I'll wait for this satellite to get out of the way. Keep going. Move it. Go away. Or I shall taunt you for a second at time. Alright. A little jazzy music for you. Ray's funny. Alright. Almost there. Now we're gonna get out of this, our hyper view, and start our photograph. It's on its way. And this data here is usually down here, but because of the moon, it's moved. It's a sort of an automatic brightness adjustment. All right, so here is going to be Orion Nebula. I'm sorry, the Horsehead with the flame. Now, of course, it's not in a good position yet. I have to process it. So there is a process, and we're going to move that a little more, and then move this a little more to start out with. Okay, there we go. So now take a look. So there you can see the Horsehead very clearly, and you see this beautiful red nebula, which is actually being caused by these stars. Sigma Orionis here is ionizing hydrogen gas and making it glow red. This star here, Alnitak, is causing this nebula to glow, the Flame Nebula. This is a tongue of dark nebula. It's actually between us and the bright dark nebula, or the bright nebula. So this is a tongue of darkness that's, here, and the nebula's back here. So that's kind of how that works. It's obscuring what's behind it. And this is all dark nebula that's all throughout this whole region. Part of something called the Orion Molecular Cloud Complex, the OMC. CC. Okay, let's adjust the colors.
I was going to say the flame is much different than usual.
The-
Very
yeah,
red.
I know, right? Yeah,
Kind of a gold color.
yeah. The moon has definitely affected the colors. I think I want to. I think I want to drop down the saturation. There we go. Wow. That still looks pretty. It still looks pretty. It's not like a dark night without the moon. But you'll see that in a couple days when we do this again. We should do all the same things, Daryl. So they
Say again, please.
We should do all these same objects. Hey,
Oh,
Curtis,
yeah.
how you doing? Yeah, Curtis, this is this is a full moon, as you know, and so just imagine being able to image the Horsehead Nebula with a full moon. That's not bad, not bad at all. Satellite went through earlier. What happens is this trail will get averaged away, and if I let enough exposures come in, this trail is going to vanish. You know, we've only got 9 stacks so far. We'll go to like 10 or 12, and then go to the Orion Nebula, which
Yeah,
everybody wants to see.
Fantasy wants to see M43.
Okay.
Which is that little point on one part of M42.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome, Curtis. Thank you for dropping by. You're always welcome. Okay, let's I'm at 40% right now. I'm gonna go to 100% to look at the Horsehead in particular. All right. I think and I mean, for the record, we're stacking images again, guys. So, we've stacked 12 of these so far, and so this is actually a live image. You're seeing a live image here, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, as Curtis says, people often use H-alpha filters. Yep. We're using the UHCS filter, Curtis. I think you probably know that. So we're getting in narrow bands of the H-alpha, little H-beta, and O3, So we are able to get that, but we also we do have leakage, probably from the O3 band, from the moonlight, and it's not because it's in O3, but it's just sympathetic light leak, basically, for similar frequencies. So we actually have an issue with that. Plus, the telescope's aiming in a position where there's actually moonlight falling into the telescope as well. So we are getting extraneous light in there too, even though it's very, very well baffled. Yeah, it is a good filter. I have a radian quad band as well, and a spectroscopic one that's just like the Star Analyzer 100, to see spectra. But you can see the Balmer lines, the Balmer series, the lines of hydrogen gas as they look in the spectra of stars. We can see all that. Let's try to modify this a little bit more. I want to darken that up. That's getting better. Yeah, with the moon out, you can't really see this lighter area here too well. It's there, but you can't really see it that well. Not bad. Let's go to the full size frame here. Yeah, see that? Look at that. That's what the moon does to us, guys. It sort of makes these views like this, but we still can see really subtle, faint detail. And if you notice, Daryl, the flame is a different color from this other H alpha region.
Yes.
It's probably related to the fact that I had to exaggerate colors a little bit for this. Let me see if I modify colors, it's going to change a little better. That's better. It's a little better.
Simone asks, do you take nebula requests?
Absolutely, Simone. We do that all the time. If people want to see something, we are at your disposal. Hello, PG. That's Petita from Pennsylvania.
Hi, PG.
PG is a friend of Skyter Livestream and a personal friend of mine. Simone, do you have a nebula in your mind that you'd like to see? I'm sure if you're seeing the horse head and the flame and you know anything about Orion, you're probably going to say the Orion Nebula. We're going to go there next. Hopefully before any potential clouds ruin our night, which they shouldn't. I think we'll be okay. Okay, that looks nice. HC 2175. No, I have not done that tonight. Let's go see. I'm gonna right now. I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, let's see where it is relative to here. Yeah. Oh, the monkey head? That's the monkey head. We did that. Simone, we did that earlier. Sorry, I didn't recognize the NGC for it. But yeah, we did the monkey head a little while ago. So actually, if you look in the chat, you'll see the server site, and underneath the directories in there, it might be confusing at first, but there is a processed directory, and you'll see the pictures. But we have many other monkey heads that we've done. If you look back in time, from say November to now, you'll see that the monkey head will be in there a couple times. Oh, that's a fantasy. Thanks, man. The North American Nebula is not in a good position to see right now. It's a summertime object, and it's long past visibility for us right now. I'm trying to remember how high it is in the sky. It might even be, it might have even set by now. Oh, Daryl, thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm sorry, say what?
No, I was saying that we were talking about the North America. That's all right.
Yeah, I think it's set already.
Yeah.
Orion is, the Northern Cross, which North America is at the top of, near Denham. It is standing upright in the west northwest, I guess, right at sunset, and it's surely set by now.
Yeah.
It's going away for the year.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna pause this and save it. All right, this is 29 stacked. That's fine. So we'll pause it there. Save it. And then we'll save it exactly as seen, which I know is a little weird looking, but we'll do some processing to try and even it out for you. Okay, and now we'll clear it so it's not lost. And then we'll go back to here, do 1 second, and do our hyper processing over here, so it's like a nice night vision type finder, minus the green. It's in true color. All right, now let's go and let's first of all, we'll come back to this right here, and M43 coming to you right now. Moraines Nebula. So it's probably gonna take us down to Saif again, maybe. Yeah, and Saif. See what the telescope's doing is it's doing high precision slewing. So what it's doing is it takes us down to a star that it knows, puts it right in the center, and I'm going to put the arrow on it right there. Okay, and then what it's going to do is it's going to put the object it searches for right where that arrow was. Well, that didn't work right.
Looked like you went right back where you were.
I think I told it to go to the wrong thing. Oh, I did. Well, that was dumb. Sorry about that. Okay. Now we're going to go to the right place. It's probably going to go down to Saif again. I'm guessing. No, it's going to go to Cursa this time. Well, it's saying it'll tell us right here. Look here, it's going to tell you where it's going to. Cursa. Okay. Then it's going to move over. There's Cursa. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. Wow, we've been going on 3 hours here, Daryl.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Brightest nebula in the sky in the Northern Hemisphere. There it is. The Orion Nebula. Part of the Orion Molecular Cloud Complex.
Yeah. Whoever was asking for M43, when you see that teardrop shape right there, that is M43.
Yeah. This is M42. M43. And this is NGC 1977, I believe. Otherwise known as the Running Man Nebula.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Everybody down. Get yourself to Mars. Yeah. So that's just in our little hybrid view. If I shut that off, then you'll actually see it. It actually looks a little richer because the color is more saturated. Okay, now you see that looks really different. And if we take that and cut it down even more, let's go down to say 250 milliseconds, quarter of a second. All right, now if we zoom in, you'll be able to see those central stars that are the stars that light up this nebula. So let's go there and look. There we go. Say hello to the Trapezium. These are the central stars that light this up. Yep. And I think we're still doing a 1 second exposure right now. So let's try something. I have to go turn this. We're at 51. At 51 degrees, we should be somewhere around 48,301. And let's see where it is. Okay, it was at 48,318. Now it's at 48,316. That's funny. It actually corrected itself. Let me try something here. Okay, I'm just going to try this a couple things here. Let's turn this off for a second. And now I want to do critically focus in here. I'm going to go way more. And I'm going to drop the exposure down to 75 milliseconds. So we'll just see stars. There we go. And now we'll increase that to 250%. All right.
Sorry, Fantasy. I didn't mean to do that. My keystrokes are getting sloppy.
You timed Fantasy out?
Yeah, there was the guy just above Fantasy a few comments up. I hit Fantasy by mistake.
Okay. Okay.
All my fault.
48,166. Okay. That looks like it's the right value, but I think it's not. That's an inconsistent result, so I'll have to figure that out. Let's just do this. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we are at 48,166, and if I activate this for 51, all right, 164. Okay. It's a learning. It's like a learning machine here, so this is just gonna basically give us the data we need. All right, let's go back to auto. All right, and now let's go from 75 milliseconds. Let's go up to. Let's see. Let's just try like a 12-second shot, just so you can get a baseline for what this looks like in general. And it's going to be really blown out because, yes, exactly. It's really going to be blown out, but I'll fix that in a minute. Okay. Right. So we'll get rid of that.
Psychedelic.
Let's do this. Yeah, psycho, man. Now we're going to get rid of this and drop it down to something normal. Okay. Oh, Curtis. I don't think I PM'd you. I may not have, Curtis. I'm sorry. Now that you mention it. Well, if Daryl's a bad astronomer, I'm a bad astronomer too. I'm sorry. This is beautiful. I mean, when you look at this, okay, you see it like this, but you know what you gotta see though. Let me see about the color rendering for now. Okay, then this guy. Okay, so if I come in here and I drop this down. Alright, take a look at this. Right. Obviously, this is not the real colors of the nebula. And to get the colors, we would need to actually spend some time on this. These colors are more or less what they should be. But what I'd like to do is show you something else. So what I'm going to do... Well, we'll try this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to... first of all, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to set this exposure now from 12 seconds to 25 seconds. Huge difference. And we're going to go in this stack. And we're going to clear it. So remember what this looks like. Okay. And I may have to adjust the brightness here. Yes, David, it's the orangey color. That's actually a problem with the color rendering. For those that have this on their big screen TVs, I'm sorry, that's not nice looking. But then we'll do this. Okay. Right. So now, the color rendering is off a little bit, but there's a lot of dust out here. There is, look at all this dust down here. There's dust and gas. This is all full of gas and dust out here. And, of course, satellites. And more satellites. That's part of the problem with Orion. It's close to the celestial equator, and we get lots of satellites going through there all the time.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. And it's not just Starlink, by the way. Starlink satellites actually don't really go equatorially. They kind of go on diagonals and cross each other like a web, like a network. Remember the Star Trek episode, the Tholian Web? Where they were building an energy barrier around the Starship Enterprise? It's kind of like that. You know? There's a weird guy, you can hear that too, yeah.
Hear it too. Do you hear it, Mark?
Yeah, no, I hear it.
What do you hear?
I hear it's like it's an ongoing beep, beep, beep that's coming from you. When you mute, it goes away, and when you come back, it's actually, it's probably electrical interference with a cord or something that you have near the computer. Look at all the satellites coming in now.
I had no idea.
We got 1, 2 here, 3. Oh yeah, it's like you can't get an image of the Orion Nebula anymore. You just can't do it, you know. Yeah, this nebula does look like a bird. You're absolutely right. Yeah, fantasy. You're right. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit. No, Daryl, don't worry about it. It's just whatever the electrical noise is, you know. At some point, you could try. At some point, you can try. You could try a different cable routing or something. You know.
I see you got to him before I did.
Yeah, and I don't like that crap. You know, I don't know what they're trying to foist off on people. So, I'm ruthless with them. If I could remove him from the channel permanently, ban him, I would. Maybe I can.
I've heard it's gotten a lot worse recently. Spammers like that all over YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, darn it, excuse me again, please.
Sure. So this is the brightest nebula in the sky for people that are in the Northern Hemisphere. I have not seen any Southern Hemisphere nebulae. I'd love to put a telescope below the equator and start doing Southern Hemisphere views. And I would do that. If somebody had land that they wanted to allow me to use in perpetuity, I would invest in putting an observatory down there, perhaps. I'd have to look at it. Weird guy, you're funny. Mark never goes. He must be Catholic. Let's go see what we're looking at here. Let's try this. Okay, so we're there. Let's see what's up here. There's so many of these nebulae. It would just be so beautiful to look at. The only problem is that we can't really see them too well when the moon is out. I don't know what to say about that. Yes. No worries. I did look at the Seagull Nebula. Fantasy, you're getting paid to watch this? Wow. If We should try this. Thor's helmet won't look too good tonight with the moon. Gabriella, thank you for stopping by. I hope you subscribe. Please do. Sky Tour live stream on YouTube. Love to have you. And thank you. Welcome back, Daryl.
Thank you. Beep, beep, beep.
No. Like I said, I think it's a cable routing thing.
I tried plugging it into a different socket here. Tell me if you still hear it.
Yeah, it's actually different. It's different.
Different better, different worse, or just different?
Fainter.
Oh, good.
Okay, then we're gonna pause this. 19 frames. I'll let it go to 20. Okay, 20. Pause. Save. Stack. Stacks like this are good for people who are looking to learn how to do image processing. We use Photoshop ourselves. I wrote a lot of little programs within Photoshop to help do this. Very important stuff to try and bring out details. But the moon throws a wrench in all the imagery. So to basically subtract out the effects of the moon requires a pretty good knowledge of Photoshop. Yeah, see weird guy saying it's fainter now too, Daryl.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, this is a USB headset I use. I just went to a different socket.
That's good. It's doing a little better for sure. Let's do this. Oh, there's our beautiful Orion Nebula. Nice. Let's try. Yeah, the one up above Fantasy, above the Orion Nebula, was NGC 1977. That's the Running Man Nebula. Not named after Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie. And that's the common name, the Running Man Nebula. David, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Happy you joined us for a little while. It was good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to this other one now.
The rotten egg?
No. I think that'd be too small. I don't know how this, if I can even see this one, but we're gonna see. We shall find out. Okay. Okay, so now we're going. It might be too low. Yeah, it's too low. Well, wait a minute. Depends what it's going to for a star. Asmodisk? Where's that? Oh, it's a southern. Okay. So it's going to find this. It could see it because it sees a little bit of it. And it's going to come up a little bit north. And there it goes. And now I think it brings us up to where we might actually see it. I think so. Yes, sir, right there. Look at that. And the clouds. Oh, oh well. Zippy. The Zippy the Pinhead cloud. Zipping right through. Well, we'll try it. Here's what we're going to try and do. I'll show you. Okay, first of all, this is an interesting location in the sky. Because what we see is a beautiful star cluster with young stars in it. Right, that's what we see here. Now the thing about stars and star clusters, they're all formed at the same time. They're all young. They're only a few million years old. Maybe a few 100 million. And then, in this star cluster, we have something odd.
Oh.
I'll go to 75%. You see where we are, right, Daryl?
M46?
Yeah, the Calabash Nebula.
I never heard it called that before.
Yeah, that's this guy. All right. Down in Puppis.
Yeah, it's the it's M46.
Yeah, and actually it's NGC. This is where we actually are. NGC 2438.
Yeah, but see, it says M46 just down to the lower right of that.
Yeah. No, that's the cluster. You're right.
Okay.
M46 is interesting because this is a cluster that is actually a distance of over 5,000 light years from us. All right. But what's interesting is when you look at NGC 2433, or 2438 rather, because this is 4,000 light years from us.
Yeah, it's the one with the it's got a planetary superimposed in front of it.
That's right. This is a young cluster of stars, and for a long time it puzzled astronomers before they could figure out the distance to this star and to that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a planetary nebula. It's an end-of-life condition for a star. And we'll just, we'll do a 15 seconds on this. And that end-of-life location, the end-of-life process, is something that's really interesting because that happens when a star dies, when it's all finished with its time in the universe. Yet these young stars in this cluster, this was the first time, this is the first time they're ever present in the universe for just a few million to a few 100 million years. So what does it mean? It means that these stars are very young, yet could there be something within the cluster that's older? And that's the object right there. It's a planetary nebula. And the answer is no. So that started the process of the thought process where they figured, hey, something's going on with this particular cluster.
Right.
And what was going on? What's that?
I said right.
Yeah. And what was going on was that this object here is actually in the foreground to us. So it's here, and the cluster is back here behind it. But superimposed from the side, they're far away from each other, but from the front, they look like they're right next to each other. And that's really cool. Yeah. And if you look right in the middle here, you can see the central star in this planetary nebula. That's actually a white dwarf. Okay, very very hot, and it's so hot that it's ionizing the gas around this around the former star, because it sloughs off its outer layers, right? And it's really hot, and that hot radiative pressure can ionize the gases. The greenish blue is oxygen, and the red is hydrogen, among other things, you know. So we see that very common with these planetary nebulae, and that's what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, if you look on Stellarium, the Calabash Nebula you were referring to is just a little bit over to the side.
Yeah, I don't think it's in my field of view here, but I'll jump out to see. Should be somewhere over here.
Yes.
But whatever it is, can't see it. No, sir, I didn't like it. But you can see that beautiful, this young, vibrant star cluster and a dead star. But it's in the foreground. Isn't that cool? So that's pretty neat. Let's do another all sky view. This will be another 8-second acquisition. See what we're looking at. And the answer is, all right, that's good. We got this really big, bright full moon up there. To the mods, if you see someone that puts up one of those strange links or whatever that was, just time them out.
JSCO wants to know if you can zoom in on the planetary.
Yes, I can.
It's really far away, but we can zoom in on it some.
Yep.
That's like seeing the Dumbbell Nebula or the Ring Nebula, other planetaries.
I'm going to actually go to 200%. So there you can see there's another little star right there.
Mm.
There you go, though. There it is, that beautiful nebula. It's almost like the Ring Nebula. But, you know, this is a spherical shell of material around the star that got blown off evenly in every direction, probably by the looks of this. Now, the thing is, and I always use this analogy, when you're looking at my hands right here, on the lower left corner here, you can't see through my fingers, but if I go like this, you can see through my fingers. So the dust looks, the gas looks more dense when you're seeing through more of it along the edge, but then from the front and back, there's less. So you're seeing through the relatively transparent front and back, okay? But from the sides, it's more thick. You're seeing through more of it. So no matter which direction you look at this nebula from, it looks the same relative way. Okay, it looked like a sphere or a ball with a hole in the middle because of that phenomenon.
I find it interesting, and we've noted similar in some other planetaries like this that, if you can leave that up for a second, if you look around the periphery of that nebula, you see over from about 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock, it's red on the outside. Then you've got a distinctly green patch there from 12 to about 1:30, and then another little orange patch. And then you've got a big orange patch down around 6 o'clock, too.
And you have one just about 1:30 here. 1 o'clock,
Yes.
2 o'clock, right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So what Daryl was alluding to with that, I think, is that this sort of implies that when the star was blowing off its outer layers, as planetary are formed this way, does hydrogen come off first? Well, hydrogen is the predominant component because most of the star's envelope outside the core, which is the only place the fusion takes place, is hydrogen. But when it blows this off, it also collapses the core more. The core collapses more, and you just see that hot central core left behind. And you can't really tell here, but you can sort of see it. This star is bluer than the other stars here. This star is hotter and more blue than the stars in this cluster. The blue color is because it's a white dwarf, right? But this oxygen has been ionized in the shell, and the hydrogen gas was ionized as well. And there's some reasons sometimes why we don't see a lot of hydrogen, and part of the reason could be, and this is work still being done right now in this arena, that this star, before it became before it actually got to this stage, was actually what was called a Wolf-Rayet star, and a lot of its hydrogen didn't exist. It blew off the hydrogen a long time ago, and so sometimes their envelopes will have less hydrogen in them, so in other words less red glow and more of this oxygen glow. So it's interesting, and it's young research, hasn't had a lot done with it, but it's possible that we're looking at a Wolf-Rayet star. These very, very hot stars that typically may not be a white dwarf per se, but could be a star that's at the edge of getting ready to go supernova. And that's cool.
That's interesting. There's another small patch at about 7 o'clock. It's inside the green part. No, farther in.
Oh, right here?
Right there. Yes, right there.
I wonder if that's a star that we're seeing through this.
Yeah.
Let's zoom in even more and see. Let's go to 400%. We may have to center this a little better. Might be
that doesn't look like a star. The one to
This
the lower
doesn't?
right of the bright, yeah, that looks more diffuse.
And that's like a star.
And that's a star, I think.
Yep.
And I just wondered, as a general thing, when we see, like, again, as we've noted on other planetaries, you see red over at the upper right, upper left quarter. Then you see green at the top to about 1:30. Then you see red again. There's a little red chunk down below right at about 3 o'clock. And another one at about 4 o'clock. And then the big one there at about 6 o'clock. Different elements, as you said. Does that relate to those elements being released or pushed out at different times, perhaps?
I think that's probably true. I'll have to look. I'm actually going to study a little bit more about planetary physics, planetary formation physics, because I'd like to know the order of events in a planetary. Because when a star is a red giant and it's sloughing off its outer layers, it's the stuff around the core is doing the different shell burning, different shells. On the outermost one, you're going to have hydrogen going to helium still. Then you have helium to carbon and to nitrogen and oxygen, all the way down to, for the heavier stars, you can have, get to that point, but usually you're only going to about carbon and maybe some nitrogen and oxygen for stars a little heavier than the sun. You know, when you start getting up into the 10 solar mass type realm, sorry, then you can end up with some additional elements that you didn't expect, and maybe even just beyond that, you know, you're looking at supernova territory when you get to 20 or so solar masses. But
I just think in general, we're seeing a lot more detail here than I ever thought we would. What's the designation on this object again, please?
Yeah, this is NGC 2438, I believe, but I will confirm that. Might be fun to look up.
That's what I'm going to do.
2438.
Very good.
Okay. All right, so let me do one thing too. I'm going to. Okay, that's good. So I can synchronize on that.
It's approximately 1,370 light years away.
Yeah.
Discovered by William Herschel in 1786. Yep. Appears to lie within the cluster M46, but most likely unrelated. Does not share the cluster's radial velocity. Superposed pair. Multi-shell planetary nebula, bright inner nebula, consisting of two somewhat detached shells, structures surrounded by a fainter, mostly circular halo, more visible on the western half.
Yeah.
Nebula has a temperature of about 10 to 13,000 K, rising to 15 to 17,000 K at the inner edge. Nebula consists of material ejected from the central star during the asymptotic giant branch stage.
Right.
Began about 8,500 years ago. Main nebula is about half that age. Central star of this planetary is a 17.7 magnitude white dwarf. Surface temperature about 75,000 K, is one of the hottest stars known. I'm going to post a link to the image they have in chat here. People can follow if they want. There's actually a whole lot going on here. This is interesting.
Yeah, this again, that's that calling it a white dwarf, I think, is typically what people would say when they see planetary nebulae, including researchers. But we still do have that Wolf-Rayet possibility, and the trouble is trying to differentiate between the two is something that we're actually having a lot of trouble doing, in astronomy. So I do think that it's possible that we're still looking at a Wolf-Rayet star. It could be a white dwarf. I just think that there's a lot going on. Actually, I really do like how this image is coming out.
Say that again?
I do like how this image is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to pause it right here. We did 55 images stacked. That's why it looks as good as it does. I see complexity in there that I've never seen in this nebula. So,
yeah.
All right, so we're going to save it exactly as seen. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to clear this now. It'll be up on the server here in just a few minutes. And it's
picture I posted was taken down at the Mount Lemmon Sky Center.
Oh, yeah.
In Arizona.
Yeah, that's just in Tucson.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Darryl.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Learn something every day.
Yeah, it's a great object. I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't sure how it was going to come out. But I'll do one more object. And only because I've been talking about these.
Yeah, I'm going to have to call it soon.
Okay. Well, we're going
Thor's
to do
helmet?
one more object. Yep. All right. It's probably going to go, hopefully to go to a different star. All right, well, I don't know why it's going there, but it's going into the clouds. We might get... that's not good. Ah, okay, well, as long as the cloud leaves, there's going to be residual garbage waiting for us, so... we are looking toward the very faint sky glow of Phoenix, 65 miles away. But, oh, we're heading through the clouds now. Oh. It's actually kind of cool to see the clouds, the way they move. Alright, this is not working. I'm waiting. Come on.
Thor's helmet's to the upper left of Sirius, isn't it?
I think so. Hold on. Yeah, it's dead center in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, telescope is accurate enough. All right. I don't think it's going to come out too well. What'd you say?
Oh, I was just going to say, should be getting pretty high up toward the south then.
Yeah,
if it's
but
left
it's also mostly greenish blue.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a problem with the moonlight.
Did Izabela share the processing she did on your Thor's helmet?
Yeah, I saw that.
No, she pulled some red out of it.
I think I told her she did a good job. Huh?
Yeah. She pulled some red out of it.
Yeah, there is a little bit. You can see it here, too.
And the satellite.
Right, let's, yeah. Go figure. Slide this over.
So I know you talked about Wolf-Rayet stars and planetary nebulas earlier.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about that in general in the past. Where do Wolf-Rayet stars lie on the spectrum in the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram? They're called HR. They're not an O class
HR diagram. The Hertzsprung-Russell diagram is what you're asking about.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a cloud. Hold on. Let me get rid of this.
And I know they describe several types of Wolf-Rayets by like predominant elements shown in their spectra, I guess.
Yeah.
And I know they're like on their way, well on their way to being supernovas.
Yeah.
But do
There's
they?
a variety of kinds of them. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, as you said, there's a variety of them, different kinds. So you can't really say they're here or there on the HR diagram.
No, but there are some. There's kind of like abstract art right here. Let me get rid of this. Just a second here, Daryl. Alright, let's try that. That's sort of like abstract art, right?
Sort of.
You know? Yeah. Let me clear this stack again. Let it try again. Watch, then we'll get a big satellite come in there, get in the way, cross right through it. I was taking a picture for myself the other night of the Thor's helmet. Satellite went right through Thor's helmet.
Huh.
So I thought it was funny. Okay, so far so good.
Folks, when we were talking about Wolf-Rayet stars, I guess I brought it up because Thor's helmet is powered by a Wolf-Rayet star, that bright star you see inside the loop.
This guy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's stars that are blowing bubbles.
And that one is not a planetary nebula.
Mm-mm. That is correct. Yeah.
Can you zoom on that one a little bit?
I can actually. I can tell you a variety of ways. Let's do it this way. Here's the red you were talking about.
Mm.
And there's some thinner greens up in here and down below here that on a moonless night they show up really brightly.
Yeah.
Might be able to tease them out though if I maybe this way might be able to tease them out. This increases the noise, but it helps find some of the additional detail with the moon out. Interesting. Let's
Those are the two wings on Thor's helmet to the upper left
right
and
there.
the upper right, aren't they? Right there and right there.
Yeah. Let me just go crazy here. Yeah, that's too much. So let's try that just for purposes of illustration. Thank you, Bonnie. I think it is lovely. There's the star that they're always talking about. That's the Wolf-Rayet star. That star's going to go supernova. It hasn't yet. These stars have a habit of getting rid of their hydrogen envelopes. Uh-oh. I know what that sound is. It's the same
I'm
sound
sorry.
I make.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
don't be. I did it too.
I've
This is
been
our
going
last
to bed
object, folks.
earlier lately.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
Now carry
Thanks
on,
for coming,
please.
though, Daryl. No, I'm
Sure.
glad that you were able to come out.
Sure.
All right. Let's just drag these around, see what we can grab. Okay, this
The Wolf-Rayet
will highlight
stars,
the filaments.
they're blowing off tons of mass, are they not?
Yeah, they have a very, very powerful stellar wind. Very powerful stellar wind. Yep. Okay. Well, this is 11 stacked frames.
It's about 12,000 light years away, 30 light years across.
Thor's helmet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely hot star, thought to be in a brief pre-supernova stage of evolution. It is similar in nature to the Bubble Nebula.
Yes.
Overall bubble shape, but with complex filamentary structures. Nebula contains several hundred solar masses of ionized material. When we looked at NGC 2438 a few minutes ago, the planetary nebula at M46, the article on it said that there's like less than one solar mass in all that nebula in that planetary, and this one contains several hundred solar masses plus several thousand more of unionized gas.
Well, also keep in mind that the Wolf-Rayet stars are like 100 times the luminosity of the sun.
Yes.
They're extremely luminous stars, so that means that they're massive stars too. And that's part of the allure, if you will, of these stars.
It used to be a Class O main sequence star a long time ago.
Well, until it blew its hydrogen and oxygen off.
Right.
It's really a strange hybrid type of star.
Since I'm here, I'll post it. I guess that answers one question I had as far as like where it was on the HR diagram. It used to be an O-type star.
Yeah, but it's exactly that. It's hard to place them on the HR diagram. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because they have characteristics of several stars.
Yes.
In fact, there's whole papers out there that just discuss where that star right there belongs in terms of the classification. Where is it on the HR diagram? There are whole papers in the Astrophysical Journal which deal with just that. And they're actually just suppositions. They're not absolute fact. Wolf-Rayet stars are very interesting. That red is really showing up now.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 20 frames stacked here. I'll do another couple.
What did they say? 12,000 light years away?
Yeah.
If that blows, I bet it'll be brighter than Sirius.
Oh, I can't wait.
For a while.
Yeah, a few months. I don't know that we've ever seen a Wolf-Rayet star supernova yet. But, alright, we're pausing this. 2 frames, we'll save the stack. There it goes. And then we will save exactly as seen. Okay. And now we'll clear it. Good night to the beautiful night sky. Even though, especially though, with us being in a sky that's riddled with clouds and a moon tonight. Even so, we've managed to eke out quite a few beautiful views tonight, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I hope you all... Look, we got clouds right there. So I hope you guys had a good time. I'm going to take down our systems. You can watch if you like. So we will be disconnecting the focuser, shutting down that system. And then we're going to be disconnecting our planetarium system and shutting it down. It's one thing I learned, and Daryl can attest to this. In the past, there were times when the telescope would seem to have a life of its own and go wildly off of things. And now, it hasn't been happening for quite a while. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is because I have a definitive order of how I shut things down, because I don't want to confuse the telescope with commands from some of these programs that are doing things. Okay, so at this point, I'm at the point now where I can tell this telescope to park. So I'm going to say park, and you're going to watch the telescope right there is going to go to a predetermined position. Okay, so here it goes, and it's going to face right into the infrared light of the camera that is giving you this very view. So there we go. And now the telescope is sitting there, and I can turn off the power. So we go turn off the power. I wrote a program to control the observatory. That's what this is doing. All right, so the pier is off, no power, and now what we can do is shut down other things. So first things first, we go and we disconnect the camera, and we shut down the camera program, and we disconnect the telescope. And you'll see it disconnect. There it goes. Now we can shut down this system. And then now I can show you this and this. I don't know, it just seems just so cool. And now we shut the roof.
Hey, you did get a haircut.
Yeah, I did.
Not me. I'm a pretty shaggy dog right now.
That's okay. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to close our telescope control program. And now we're going to close all of our integrated views. And now we're ready to shut down for good. Now we're done. So folks, thank you for coming out and joining us. We had a wonderful time with you out here. And you can look for all of these photos up on the server. So they're there for you. All right? So, until next time, which is going to be over the next couple of days, well, probably in 2 or 3 days, once the moon is on the waning side, then we're going to be doing this and have a lot more fun. So you guys have a good night, and we will be seeing you sooner than later, all right? So we'll talk to you. Good, Daryl.
Oh, good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.